It's seed catalog season again. Some would say this is the real most wonderful time of the year. And there are a lot of Canadian options out there, both on paper and online. And I've been around long enough now to have some real favorites that I go to time and again. So this video is all about what are my favorite Canadian seed companies and why. And if that's all you really want to know, then check the description below. I've left a timestamp in there to where I reveal my list, because before I do, I want to say in this video what I think is important in a seed company and what is not important. So let's start with things that I think are truly important in an excellent seed company. The first and the flashiest is variety. That's what draws me in. Do they have something that I want to grow? Sometimes that's when I'm looking for something specific and I know where to go to most likely get that kind of heirloom tomato or whatnot. But more often, it's that browsable looking through and you see something unique, something you've never grown before, something you've never even heard of before. That really draws me to a seed company. Then the second thing, of course, super important, is quality. And quality is not only of the seed, but quality of the company, the value that they're offering with the seed, which may be growing instructions, it may be the story about how the seeds are grown and cared for and the environmental sustainability of the company, and very importantly, I think, the quality of the seed packet. Take, for example, Burpee seeds. Now, these little seed packets, I'm not going to buy them again. I must have been desperate at the time, but they're plasticky and they're staticky as well. So when I try to open one up, it's awful. It just snaps back together. And if I try to just pour seeds out, nothing comes out. So I end up having to prop it open, try to hold it open like that to get my seeds to come out. Even then, yeah, I've struggled with these for long enough. No more burpees. And then finally, closely tied to quality is personalization. I really like it when there's a personal touch to a seed company. I know where the seeds have come from, who's been growing them. They have some actual experience with the seeds. It's not just a retail store gathering seeds wholesale and distributing them. It's a place with some roots and again, some of that feel-good gardening experience. Two things I don't look for in a seed company are the buzzwords organic and non-GMO. The word organic itself isn't bad, but often you're paying a price premium for that certification to be on your seed packet, and that certification doesn't necessarily mean more environmentally sustainable or safer, which is what I care more about. I like it when companies are sharing my garden philosophy, which is to use natural processes as much as possible, to be as environmentally forward-thinking and sustainable as possible. So the word organic isn't really going to sway me one way or the other, but the label non-GMO does leave a bad taste in my mouth. When I see that on a seed packet, I kind of think they're implying that other seed companies are selling you GMO seeds. Now, what's GMO? Genetically modified organism, or genetic engineering, like a genetically engineered seed where you may take, for example, the DNA from a fish and put it into a tomato seed to see if that will give you better characteristics for your tomato. This is big money business. Biotech industries put a lot of money into this. They very carefully guard their patents. This is not going out to the seed companies that you and I are dealing with for our backyard or small scale farms. Genetic engineering is not the same thing as creating a hybrid seed. A hybrid seed is more like genetic selection. That's when you take two plant parents, things that do want to naturally occur together, or at least can if you suggest it. One may be more disease resistant, one may have a better tasting fruit. You put them together, you save the seeds from the offspring, and hopefully that will be a more disease resistant and better fruit tasting variety. That, some seed companies, they stock seeds for it, some don't, and I'm not at all commenting on the safety or the ethics of hybrid seeds, GMO seeds, or any of that here. I'm just saying that non-GMO seeds are what we're all buying. Now, of course, the environment is a constantly in flux thing, so if there are genetically engineered organisms out there, which there are, they may have an effect on the seeds at any of the companies. So many of these companies do sign a safe seed pledge saying that they're not going to knowingly sell seeds that have been contaminated with genetic engineering. However, that's not the same thing as the non-GMO label. The label means nothing. I think it's a little bit of a sleazy marketing tactic, and I ignore it or shy away from it. So with that framework, here are my favorite seed companies in Canada in 2024, reverse order. Coming in at number 3, West Coast Seeds. Now, this is the royalty of seed companies here in Canada. And look at this beautiful seed catalog. More than once, when their seed catalog arrives, I've decided they sent me a coffee table book and I just put it on display. And they're so readable and lovely in here as well. They've got growing guides for all the different things that they sell, as well as articles. There's even some recipes in here. There's one for shishito peppers. These are just lovely. And they also send you, very helpfully, all across Canada, these planting guides with your last frost date and your length of growing season. And I have noticed that other sources don't think that my growing season is quite as long as West Coast Seeds thinks that it is. So you kind of get that little feel-good, ooh, I've got more time to work with all these seeds kind of feeling when you go through the catalog, or at least I do. It's a little bit like going to the gym and you're used to working with 10-pound weights, and the gym here has weights that are like 9.5, but they say that they're 10, and you get that kind of getting away with something kind of feeling. That's West Coast Seeds right here. They always have something that I've never heard of or something that I've never tried before. This year it's going to be the Fioretto cauliflower. I'm really looking forward to it. They also have really fantastic media out there. So the growing guides that are inside the catalog are fantastic. They also have a TikTok channel. They've got a beautiful website. If you haven't been to West Coast Seeds, I encourage you to go check it out. The one drawback is I do find their products are often out of stock or coming soon or unable to be ordered at this time. So you can a little bit get around that if you go to a local garden store. They've got over 300 partnerships in Canada with places that sell their seeds, which is pretty cool as well, but usually the more common varieties. So you got to be on the ball if you really want something. Number 2, we've got the Incredible Seed Company in Nova Scotia. What an incredible name, the Incredible Seed Company. They don't have a catalog that they send out, and according to their website, that's partially a financial decision, but it's also partially an environmental sustainability one. And they're also careful with how much waste goes into their packaging as well. So this is the kind of environmentally focused company that speaks to my heart a little bit. I buy their seeds a lot. 3 of the ones I'm really looking forward to this year are cumin, which I've grown before, but unfortunately flopped last year. I love growing cumin. Fish peppers, which I haven't grown before. They have these lovely little stripes in them. And bread seed poppies, so that I can actually take the poppy seeds and put them on bagels. I cannot wait. They also sell seeds for things like trees, which is a little unusual. Not many of us are growing apple trees from seeds. So I really think that that is more about the adventure than actually the harvest when people are purchasing these seeds. And I mean, I've had a look at their pistachio tree, and I'm the kind of person who's trying to grow a pineapple and a banana in the north. So maybe I'll add a pistachio tree to my ambitions. So that's the Incredible Seed Company. Before I reveal my number 1, a couple quick honorable mentions. Richters, this is an Ontario company. They have the market down on herbs. They have so many kinds of herbs. This catalog has 3 pages on varieties of mint alone. And they also sell this plant that I found to be very useful. I'm not going to say the name here on camera and YouTube, but you can read it for yourself. It has kept away the squirrels and the raccoons. It smells like a skunk when you brush against it. It doesn't overwinter very well, so I bring it inside and then stick it back outside during the summer where it grows like stink, pun intended. Then we've got Vessies. This is a PEI company that started in the 1930s. They have a wide variety. This is usually where I do buy my hybrid seeds from. And my goodness, they love their catalogs. In 2024, we are in the first month of 2024. I've already received 4 catalogs. I think that they have realized every time they send me a catalog, I buy something new. And it's probably working because I do have a lot of Vessi seeds. Bare Root Gardens here in Ontario as well. I just love their seed packets. I want to grow everything that's in these beautiful little seed packets. I did a video on them last year. Check it out if you want to hear more about them. And last honorable mention is the E.W. Gaze Company. This one's in St. John's, Newfoundland. Now, I've lived in Newfoundland, so I feel a little comfortable saying, oh my goodness, they have a bit of a difficult growing season. But E.W. Gaze has been around since 1925. And while they do have a good seed selection, I'm actually more drawn to some of the other things that they stock. They have a spile for tapping maple trees. They sell paint by numbers kits. And this year, I'm going to be buying this beautiful little humidifier that's shaped like a watering can. And then that brings me to my number 1 pick, drum roll please, Annapolis Seeds in Nova Scotia, all seeds grown in Nova Scotia and PEI. They don't repackage any commercially sourced seeds. All of their seeds, they've grown them or they know exactly where they've come from. And that can mean that there are some things they simply don't stock, like cauliflower. They just don't sell cauliflower seeds, but they do sell 12 different varieties of edamame. And I found that what Annapolis Seeds does, they do very well. And they also are a little bit at the forefront of some of the more unique varieties out there. So for example, Valencia peanuts. Once upon a time, Annapolis Seeds was pretty well the only place in Canada that you could buy peanut seeds, and it was these Valencia peanuts. Now, you can find Valencia peanuts at most seed companies, but Annapolis Seeds took that time to look at their best production from these Valencia seeds, and now they have an Annapolis Select peanut from their most prolific plants. And you had better bet I am buying that peanut seed, because while I have plenty of my own Valencia peanut seeds that I have saved over the years, I really want to see how they measure up, and I'm very excited to get to use the Annapolis Select peanut variety now. Just like the Incredible Seed Company, Annapolis Seeds doesn't have a mail-out catalog either. They're not certified as organic, but they have the same kind of principles that matter to me, which are not really organic principles, but more about that environmental sustainability, natural processes, local source, and the wisdom that they include with their seeds. They're working on some growing instructions, and they're beautifully done. And bonus, they are growing and seed saving instructions. Now, Annapolis Seeds only sells open pollinated and heirloom seeds, which means that you can save the seeds and the same kind of plant will grow again, which is not always the case with hybrid seeds. In fact, it usually isn't. So if you don't know how to save seeds already, you can read their instructions, buy their product once, and reap the benefits forever, unless you bought Valencia peanuts way back when, and now you want to buy their new variety, the Annapolis one. Another thing that it is hard not to love about Annapolis Seeds is they usually will include a little bonus seed packet when you buy several varieties of their seeds. And these bonus seeds may be lettuce or kind of tomato. It's always something that I didn't intentionally buy for myself, and it gives gardening a little bit of a sense of adventure. Plus, who doesn't like to get something a little bit free included in with your purchase? So that's it, my top 3 seed companies in Canada for 2024. My top is Annapolis Seeds. Coming in number 2, close by, the Incredible Seed Company. And then the other side of the country for the wonderful West Coast Seeds. I hope you learned something new from this video, or at the very least enjoyed it. And however your garden grows, keep growing as a gardener.